I went to a group Bible study. In that Bible study, we were instructed to read Genesis 3. In Genesis 3, it's the story of how Eve was deceived by the serpent. Eve was left alone in the Garden of Eden. Adam went elsewhere. The serpent came in, got in her ear, and deceived her because she believed it and she disobeyed God. Now, in my Bible study that I went to, excuse me, I think you guys call that a confirmation burp. In the Bible study that I went to, the prompt that was asked was, what are the ways that Eve acted bad? Something of that nature. And it was an all-women class. And out of everyone, my answer to that prompt was, I don't see anything bad in Eve's action. She was alone. She was the first. For those of you that are not familiar with Lilith, she was actually the second, but she didn't have a necessary blueprint to go by. And she was deceived because she was alone and she didn't have anything else to go by other than the word of God, which is a big deal. But how many of us have audibly heard from God and still done the wrong thing? So the prompt was, what did Eve do bad? What did Eve do that was bad, or whatever, however they worded it? The answers were very interesting, where everyone in the class, surprisingly women, were like, Eve was lustful for wisdom. Eve was disobedient. Eve didn't listen. Eve was easily deceived, and Eve was this and that. And I was so shocked because I was literally the only person that gave a different perspective, and I did it on purpose because I wanted people to look at a different perspective and see where their mind went, like when I took it there. So when the teacher got to my post-it and she went over my prompt, she's like, who wrote this? And I was like, I did. Of course, me. Gotta stick out like a sore thumb. And she was like, so you don't think anything that she did was bad? You think that she was just misled and she made a mistake? And I said, absolutely. And as I sat there and we kept going through the discussion, more messages kept coming from spirit because I was afraid. I'm gonna be honest. A piece of me was a little bit nervous, not afraid, but just nervous to be that person to have a different answer, because you're just looked at so differently when you don't go with the flow of what's already set in place. So I said that, and then the chatter started. It's very interesting. So as we started to go through the answers, it's like, well, she was alone, and women do get lonely, and when we're lonely, we typically make bad mistakes or bad decisions, or I don't like to use bad or good, I just like to use questionable, And in the Garden of Eden, it is stated and known that they heard from God, like directly, like audibly, the way we talk to each other. So that takes things to a whole nother level. But let's be real, women are disobedient creatures. We always have been. I'd like to not say we always will be, but it seems to be in our nature. We have ravishing attitudes and emotions at different times, and sometimes we are not in control of our vessel. It's just been that way since the beginning of time. Literally. Of course, it's a bug. Anyways, so after discussing, the question started to come up of, well, where was Adam? Where was Adam? Why was she left alone? Why was she talking to the serpent? And I was able to frame another thought process of, well, Eve was deceived because her husband wasn't there with her. He wasn't there to protect her. Mind you, there are going to be times that your husband is not there to look after you. That's correct. That doesn't give you the okay to do the wrong thing. What the wrong doing was, she persuaded her husband to also make the wrong decision as well. And because the Most High has made the masculine the leader, he should have told her no. This is my take. Adam should have told Eve no. My personal belief, and this is all belief, what I know, had Adam told Eve no, went to the Most High and said, Father, my wife has done a bad thing. I left her unattended. She was deceived by the serpent. Please forgive us. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that the Most High would have blessed them with a pass. But because two came together, he followed her. That's not how it was supposed to be. He followed her. That's why they were exiled, because the man is the leader. So if you do leave your wife unattended, you're responsible for her actions, but you're also even more responsible for yourself not to follow in her footsteps and to put your foot down. So I say that to say this. As a woman, I'm a lady in waiting. I'm not married yet. As a lady in waiting, as women, we have to be sure that we check on our minds and our hearts, that we don't allow ourselves to get so vulnerable and so lonely that we're willing to let the enemy, the serpent, slither into our minds. Protect your eye gate and your ear gate. Loneliness is a bad romance. And when you let loneliness become your deception, you are subject, number one, to the enemy. It's like, how did you know when to come get me? How did you know when to tempt me? How did you know what to say? Because it's the age-old tale. But it's also important to keep yourself to yourself when you are in waiting, whether that be for a husband or for your husband. Have your guard up, because a singled out woman is prey, always has been, and maybe always will be, until the day when women realize that we are looked at as prey. And until we learn to properly defend ourselves and don't fall subject to our emotions and our body, because they're swaying all the time, we will be subject to those types of mistakes. And I say that to say, Adam should have corrected her. He should have told her no. So make sure, if you're a lady in waiting, make sure you are in prayer and you wait for a man that can lead you. If you're a very strong woman, you can't be with a spineless man. And if you're a weaker man, and I don't say this with a negative connotation, some men are just weaker in the fact that they're just weaker for their woman. Their woman can make them weak. Make sure you find your divine counterpart that's going to balance you. Because if you have a woman that makes you weak at the knees, she can convince you. If you have a man that's not going to tell you no, you can convince him. So I say all that to say, wait for your divine counterpart. Wait for your divine union. Anything else is troublesome and time consuming. And it's just not worth it in the end. I feel nothing for my exes. And I don't say that to be mean. I say that to say it's like, it's all love. They're experiences that I've had, but I know what I need, and I know what I haven't had, and I know what I need to wait on, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm encouraging you to do the same thing. Just wait. It's not worth premarital sex. It's not worth soul ties. It's not worth heartbreak. It's best to just wait. And when you wait, the Most High will deliver every single time, all the time. He may not come when you want him, but he'll always be on time. So, thank you again for tuning in to this channel message with the Infinite Guidance. Have a good day. Talk to you later.